Michael Harper stood on a dented cooler in the backyard, beer raised like a conductor's baton. The Memorial Day barbecue fell silent.
My sister Christine. She works at NASA, you know, types letters, files paperwork. A very important desk for the real astronauts.
The guests around the grill snickered, forks pausing over paper plates. A few glanced toward Christine Harper, who stood at the edge of the patio, lemonade glass clutched in both hands.
19 years of swallowing these words, and it never gets lighter.
Her knuckles were bone white around the sweating glass, but her face remained as still as a flight instrument.
Michael, honestly, Christine does essential work. Administrative support is the backbone of any agency.
Lighten up, Linda. Ra knows I'm joking. Right, Ra?
Christine said nothing. A vibration buzzed against her thigh, sharp and insistent. Her expression flickered, then settled into hard patience. The screen lit up. Commander Harper. Window moved. Car dispatched. Acknowledged. Christine thumbed the phone silent and slid it away. The message burned. She looked across the yard.
Christine, get Michael a beer. You are not doing anything useful back there.
He hasn't called me by name since I turned 16.
If you'd married a man with ambition, you wouldn't need that little NASA job, dear.
Christine set her lemonade down and picked up her keys. The NASA lanyard clinked. She walked toward the driveway. She opened the trunk. Hanging inside, crisp and silent, was a blue NASA flight suit. Beside it, a helmet with pilot wings and a go bag bearing a worn mission patch.
Her thumb traced the silver wings. They see a clerk. This suit knows a commander.
She closed the trunk softly and scanned the street. No government car yet. She exhaled. She returned to the yard. Michael's laugh still ruled the party, but her stride was different now. Michael had moved from the cooler to the picnic table, ribs piled high. Christine took the opposite bench, back to the flag.
Speaking of dead-end jobs, I've got a story about Ra's NASA gig.
Aunt Christine, have you ever seen a real rocket? Up close?
Rockets. She types letters, sweetheart. Her desk doesn't even have a window.
She wanted to tell Emily about the T-38. The words died in her throat.
Michael, let's not ruin the meal. Christine works hard. Hard work without direction is just wasted time. Linda.
Christine's jaw tightened. She reached for her lemonade and found the glass empty. The table laughed at a joke she didn't hear. Her fork stayed motionless on the paper plate. She checked her phone once more. Black screen. The afternoon stretched on. She was still waiting. Her phone buzzed again, a long, insistent pulse against her thigh. Christine glanced at Michael, then pushed back from the table.
Where you off to, Ra? The best ribs are still coming.
Stretching my legs. Back in a minute.
She stepped behind the trellis near the fence, out of earshot. The phone screen glowed. She answered without looking. The voice on the line was clipped and urgent. Commander Harper. The window moved. Vehicle en route. Be ready.
Copy that.
The line went dead. She stood motionless, the weight of the call settling into her spine like a G-force. When she returned to the picnic table, her face betrayed nothing. But her eyes scanned the street with a new, sharper flicker.
Everything okay, Christine? You look like you saw a ghost.
Fine, just work.
Michael pushed his plate aside and stood, clinking a fork against his beer bottle. The chatter thinned to expectant quiet.
Ladies and gentlemen, a quick toast. To real success, the kind you earn, not just a government paycheck.
Guests raised their glasses. Christine lifted hers a quarter inch, the lemonade trembling near the rim.
He can't even look at me while he says it.
Her father cheered. Her mother beamed. Linda smiled tightly, avoiding Christine's eyes. Christine's free hand dropped to her lap, fingers wrapping around her wrist. She found her pulse, counted silently.
16 minutes. They said 16 minutes.
She tilted her head toward the road. Faint engine noise, still too far to place. Her watch read 4:45. Michael sat back down, looking pleased. The party resumed its oblivious hum. Christine stayed utterly still. The engine sound grew a half decibel. She didn't turn, but her knuckles whitened around the glass. A glossy black Suburban with government plates turned off the main road and idled at the curb. The backyard chatter thinned.
Who's that? You order something from Amazon. Ra looks lost.
The doors opened. 3 figures in blue flight suits stepped out. The afternoon sun caught mission patches and polished wings.
Are they selling something? Always a marketing gimmick on holidays.
Christine set her glass down and rose. She didn't hurry. She walked toward the side gate as the crew moved up the driveway.
Here we go. No more hiding.
The trio reached the gate. Commander Daniels nodded to Christine. Patel gave a small smile. Davis straightened his poster roll. Michael's smirk flickered. The beer bottle lowered an inch. 15 guests forgot to chew. Christine stopped 3 feet from Daniels. The party noise died. The only sound was the flag snapping in the breeze.
Apologies for the interruption. We're here for Christine Harper. Commander Harper, the mission window shifted earlier today. The lunar expedition hardware is hot. We need you at Johnson Space Center by 0600 tomorrow.
Commander? What is this? Some kind of costume party. You file paperwork, Ra.
Sir, I am Commander Patel. This is Lieutenant Commander Davis. We're not actors.
A plastic fork clattered onto a plate. Margaret's serving spoon hung frozen in the air. Richard Harper removed his veteran's cap and stared.
What's the brief?
The expedition hardware is ready for final integration. The crew needs you at JSC by 0600. We need to move.
Michael's face had gone slack. His smugness drained like water. Linda's fingers dug white crescents into his forearm.
Aunt Christine, are you really going to space?
Christine looked down at her niece and didn't answer. The question hung in the smoky air, unanswered by anyone. The flag snapped once, loud as a gunshot. Not a single guest moved. The barbecue was over. Michael's face twisted, searching for an angle. Then his lips curled into a desperate, ugly smirk.
You hired actors. This is some pathetic stunt because I am the successful one. You always needed attention.
You've always been good at telling yourself stories, Michael.
The words landed without heat, like a fact stated in a briefing. Michael's hands shook.
Michael, stop. This isn't a joke. Look at them. Those are real patches.
Christine, you are a commander. I don't understand. You never said anything.
Commander, we need to move. The car is waiting.
I know.
She turned and began walking toward the gate. The crew fell in behind her. Michael's mouth opened, but no sound came. The poster stayed rolled in Davis's hand. The family stood rooted, 6 unanswered questions clotting the air. Davis paused near the gate and knelt, his flight suit rustling on the grass. He looked straight at Emily.
Your aunt isn't just an astronaut, little one. She's the commander of the entire lunar expedition, the first woman ever to hold that title.
Emily's sparkler fell to the grass, its light dead. She stared at Christine, who had stopped walking toward the car.
Aunt Christine, she's going to the moon? For real?
Christine turned. Her face was unreadable, but she gave Davis a single, tight nod.
Do you have any pictures? Something to prove this isn't just some joke? Better than that.
Davis caught Christine's eye once more, then pulled the poster open with a sharp crack that cut the silence. The first inches showed a blue flight suit, the rim of a helmet, the tip of silver wings. He held the rest back. The yard leaned in, breath held. Michael's fists were white. Christine watched from the gate, ready to walk away. Davis unfurled the last section. The poster snapped flat, and Christine's own face looked back at the party. Helmet under arm, flight suit sharp, silver wings catching the sun. Bold letters beneath her chin read, Lunar Gateway Expedition Commander. First woman to command a crewed lunar mission. A collective gasp sucked the oxygen from the yard. Margaret's spoon clattered to the deck. Richard's cap fell from his fingers. Michael's legs buckled. He sank into a lawn chair, the frame groaning under his weight. His face had gone the color of cold ash. Christine walked back from the gate, knelt in front of Emily, and pulled her into a tight hug, the little girl's arms wrapped around her neck.
I'll bring you a space rock, sweetie. I promise.
A real one? From the moon.
A real one.
She rose, gaze sweeping the silent party. No one spoke. The poster lay propped against the cooler now, undeniable. She kissed the top of Emily's head and stepped back. Her go-bag waited in the trunk. The SUV was still idling at the curb.
Mom, Dad, I know you are disappointed I am not a secretary, but I am needed elsewhere.
Margaret's face crumpled. Richard stared at the tablecloth, his cap still clutched in his hand. Christine turned and walked toward the driveway, gravel crunching under her boots. She reached the car, popped the trunk, and lifted out the black go-bag. Her flight suit rustled on its hanger. She slung the bag over one shoulder and slammed the trunk shut. The sound echoed across the silent yard.
Christine,
She didn't turn. The crew closed in around her, a tight formation, and they moved toward the SUV. Daniels opened the rear door. Patel gave Christine a single nod of respect. Christine paused, one hand on the doorframe, staring straight ahead. She didn't look back. Then she climbed inside, and the door sealed shut with a heavy thunk. The engine hummed, waiting. The black SUV pulled away from the curb, its taillights shrinking to red pinpoints. The street swallowed the engine noise. Emily stood on the driveway, waving long after the car disappeared. Her sparkler lay dead on the grass. The recruitment poster slipped from Linda's numb fingers. It fluttered down, landing face up on the grass. Christine's printed eyes stared up from the poster. The bold letters beneath her chin caught the last sliver of sun. Michael pressed the heels of his hands into his eye sockets, elbows digging into his thighs. He made no sound. A guest near the grill whispered, "Did that just happen?" The question hung in the smoke, unanswered. No one moved. The only noise was the dying breeze rattling the flagpole chain. Michael's shoulders heaved once. A dry sob escaped him, swallowed by the vast silence of the yard. Richard bent down, picked up the poster from the grass, and held it with trembling hands. He stared at the words as if they might rearrange themselves. One by one, the guests slipped out the side gate. Their footsteps hushed on the gravel. The Harper family stood alone, a monument to a mistake they could no longer speak away. Inside the dark cabin of the Suburban, Christine stared out the tinted window. Passing streetlights flickered across her face, revealing no expression.
We've got a busy 48 hours, Commander. Propulsion dry run at 2300, suit fit at 0400.
He tilted the tablet toward her. The screen glowed with a tight timeline and a rotating schematic of the lunar gateway.
Good. Run the full checklist with Patel before I get there.
Daniels nodded, tapped a note, and fell silent. The SUV hummed along the freeway. Miles away, in the Harper backyard, the poster lay where Richard had left it, propped against a cooler. The first street lamps clicked on, throwing a dim amber circle across the grass. Christine's printed face caught the lamp glow. The bold letters beneath her chin were just barely readable in the twilight. In the SUV, Christine's hand rested on her go-bag. She could feel the mission patch through the canvas.
18 months until I am back. Emily will be 10. She'll remember the space rock.
The SUV crossed a county line. The highway stretched ahead, empty and dark. Behind her, the yard stood silent, the poster its only witness. In the Harper backyard, the street lamp's amber glow had deepened to a lonely pool. Michael Harper finally uncurled from the lawn chair, his legs unsteady. He walked to the cooler, bent down, and picked up the recruitment poster. His sister's face stared up at him, unblinking.
this face. He'd seen it across the dinner table 1,000 times. He'd never really looked.
Michael.
He raised a hand without turning. Linda's words died in her throat.
Is Aunt Christine coming back for cake?
No one answered. Margaret clutched her apron. Richard stared at the ground. The silence was a wall. Michael stood holding the poster, his thumb covering the word Commander. He seemed to be memorizing the shape of her helmet.
She flew T-38. She was in my house eating my ribs, and she flew T-38s.
He folded the poster carefully along the creases Davis had made and tucked it under his arm. Then he sat back down on the cooler heavily. The black SUV rolled up to the Johnson Space Center main gate in the final minutes of night. The sky was a pale, bruised pink. The guard at the booth saluted, rigid and precise. The SUV passed without stopping. In the back seat, Christine Harper had changed into her blue flight suit. The American flag patch sat straight on her shoulder. Her helmet rested on her lap. When the door opened, she stepped out into the cool, still air. Her boots clicked on the tarmac.
There's nothing behind me but gravity.
She walked toward the massive hangar doors, helmet tucked under her arm. The silver command pilot wings on her chest caught the first true light of morning. Her reflection in the polished floor was a pilot, a commander, no trace of the woman her family had invented.
This was the only room she ever needed to belong in.
She passed a framed recruitment poster on the wall, the identical image Davis had held hours before. She did not pause. The hangar doors opened fully. Inside, the lunar gateway mock-up gleamed under floodlights. Her crew stood waiting. Christine Harper crossed the threshold, and the missing part of her life sealed shut behind her. 2 hours later, Christine Harper sat motionless in the simulator, her eyes tracking a bank of flight data. The panel lights reflected in her pupils.
Every switch is muscle memory. Every alarm is a puzzle she already solved.
Across the country, Michael Harper sat in his dark home office. The framed recruitment poster now hung on the wall, a permanent verdict.
The board voted me out this morning. Not a single member would take my call.
On his desk, beside an untouched glass of bourbon, lay a crisp envelope with the NASA Meatball logo. It had been opened by someone, Linda, maybe, then left.
A mission update. They sent it to me, like I am still her emergency contact.
He didn't read it. He couldn't. The poster held more truth than any official letter could.
She didn't even look back. Not once.
At the Johnson Space Center, the framed version of that same poster hung in a quiet hallway. The faded family photograph had been taped to the bottom corner. Michael, Linda, Emily, years ago by Christine herself. Christine passed it daily. She never stopped, never added a note. The photograph yellowed in the frame, unremarked. 18 months later, the Harper backyard, another Memorial Day. The grill smoked with the same ribs. The flag hung from the same pole. But the air was heavier. The picnic table sat 1 chair short. Christine Harper's place was empty, untouched, like a missing tooth. Michael Harper carried a plate to that spot and set it down gently. Ribs, cornbread, the works. Then he stared at it.
She always liked the burnt ends.
Then he picked the plate up again and carried it back to the grill. No one stopped him.
Michael, it's been a year and a half. Maybe we should stop.
I can't. Not yet.
Emily, taller now, her pigtails gone, sat on the cooler wearing a faded NASA t-shirt. She didn't say anything.
I kept her room the same, just in case.
She ain't coming back, Margaret. She's got a bigger world than this backyard.
The barbecue continued in muted tones. No one mentioned NASA. No one told stories about secretaries. The absence was a language everyone now understood. Later that night, the Harper house fell into a thick, exhausted silence. In his office, Michael sat staring at the framed recruitment poster, pinned to the lower right of the frame. A small envelope crinkled as if it had been carried in a pocket all day. He pulled the envelope free and opened it. Inside was a folded sheet of construction paper, a child's crayon drawing of a gray, cratered rock. Beneath the drawing, in unsteady letters, "For Aunt Christine. I still have the real one, Thank you. Love, Emily.
She sent it. A real rock from the moon. Sent it to my daughter. And I never knew.
His hand began to tremble. The crayon rock blurred as his eyes flooded.
You kept your promise. You sent her a piece of the stars, and I couldn't even give you a seat at the table.
He pressed the drawing flat against the glass, over his sister's printed heart. A tear slid into the crayon. The office was silent, except for the creak of his chair. Michael leaned his forehead against the frame, shoulders heaving. The framed commander held him upright, the drawing a tiny paper tombstone for all the apologies he would never send. In NASA Mission Control, the main screen displayed a live graphic of the lunar gateway. The room held its breath. EVA -1 complete. Gateway systems nominal. A beat of silence. Then applause broke out across the rows of consoles. On the screen, a spacesuited figure, Christine Harper, glided back toward the airlock. Her movements were precise, unhurried. Outstanding, Commander Harper. The room was still clapping when the screen switched to a wide shot of the gateway, the Earth a blue marble behind it. Mission Control, Gateway, enjoying the view. See you on the other side. The applause redoubled. Someone shouted, "Leave some moon for us, Commander." Laughter rippled through the room. No Harper sat in the visitor gallery. None watched from home. The triumph belonged entirely to her. The screen shimmered, and the room slowly settled, the comms still open, the silence of space filling the speakers. The old landline in the Harper hallway shrieked, shattering the late-night quiet. Margaret Harper reached it on the 4th ring.
Hello, Christine?
A synthetic voice echoed faintly from the earpiece. "This is Johnson Space Center. Please hold for Commander Harper." Margaret's breath caught. A long electronic silence hummed, then a click. Dial tone.
Christine? Christine?
The dial tone droned on. She slowly lowered the receiver, her knuckles white around the plastic. Michael appeared in the hallway doorway, his shadow long on the floor. He said nothing, but his eyes were wet.
Was it her?
It was a recording. They were going to put her on. And then... nothing.
Michael crossed the hall, took the receiver from her hand, and placed it gently back on the cradle. The dial tone died. The house fell silent again. The cupola of the lunar gateway was silent, except for the hum of life support. Christine Harper floated near the thick glass, helmet tucked under one arm. Her flight suit was still creased from the Evia. The silver wings on her chest caught the soft blue light of the earth below. She gazed at the blue marble outside, suspended in perfect black. No storm, no barbecue, no brother.
She once told Emily she'd bring back a rock. She had a piece of the moon, now resting in a child's hand.
A faint smile crossed her lips, the first easy one in years. It deepened the lines around her eyes. No one from her past was watching. No forgiveness awaited. The only audience was the cosmos.
There's nothing behind me but gravity, and I am finally free of it.
The station rotated gently, the Earth wheeling out of view. Christine closed her eyes and the silence was perfect. Slowly, the image began to darken, the hum of the gateway, the only sound. The black swallowed her silhouette, leaving nothing but the quiet hum and the absence of everything she had left behind. The Memorial Day flag still hung over the Harper yard, limp in the morning stillness. The chairs had been stacked, the grill cold. Where the picnic table had been, only a few fallen napkins left evidence of the crowd. The chair Christine had never sat in was pushed aside. On the cooler Michael had stood on, the rolled recruitment poster lay damp with dew, its colors bleeding into the white paper. Beside it, a small gray chunk of moon rock sat on the grass, the one Christine had sent, returned to the place she had left. The house behind the yard remained dark, its windows reflecting the pale, empty sky. No one came outside to retrieve the offering. 18 months since the crew had walked in wearing space wings. 18 months since Christine Harper had chosen the silence of space over the noise of her blood. 100 miles above the world, she was still there, watching, commanding, breathing the recycled air of a small metal room that trusted her. In the Harper yard, the sun climbed higher. The flag stirred once, then went still. The joke had long since ended. Michael Harper would rehearse apologies for the rest of his life and never speak one aloud. Some distances cannot be closed by words, and above the blue curve of Earth, Commander Christine Harper watched the stars turn and felt nothing but the quiet weight of her own purpose. She had finally become the gravity that held her life together.